There were other things I wanted to do, and I felt like it was time for me to move on. But that was how it started, and it really helped me find my voice. And I appreciated the executive director who initially worked with me, because she said, at first, my concept was, well, let me just invite people on the show and give them an hour to discuss their book or their ideas, whatever. And she said, no, you want people to get to know you too. And so I thought, okay, let me break it up. And I did the first third where I shared information that I felt was important, that was relevant to the topic. As a teacher, I know you have to set the stage. People don't, they're not a blank page that you can just fill. They have to have some concepts, some ideas to put the new ideas into. So I would help people sort of get the idea beforehand so that they could be more open to hear the new concepts that my guest was going to hear. And as part of that, I also found my own voice. I started doing a tip of the week. I started doing a thought of the day. I started doing a silver lining story. So I began to find my own voice where I had messages that I wanted to share that connected with what my guest was going to say. And so I would give my perspective and my experiences and my the wisdom that I had gained and the knowledge that I had gained and techniques that I had gained, because I use a lot of spiritual techniques in my life in order to uh, not allow stress to become a part of my life, to change my thoughts, as I was talking about, to release negative emotions, to let go of painful experiences, to remember the lesson, but not to stay stuck in the anger and the hurt and the pain, but to let that go, because it only hurts me. It doesn't hurt anybody else. And I got tired of hurting. And so I learned how to not do that to myself anymore. And so I like to share those things on the radio show. And now I'm going to do some books with some of those ideas that I presented, and I'm going to start with a compilation of the silver lining stories, because people don't understand how to do it. I didn't understand how to do it. I mean, how do you take when someone you love dies, that passes, transitions? Where's the silver lining? How do you do that? How do you deal with the grief and still find joy? How do you do that in a divorce, in an illness with scoliosis? What's the good there? And I learned how to find the positive in every situation. And I thought, well, if I can do this, other people need to know how to do this, because it's transformative. It changes your life and how you see the world, how you approach every experience. Do I approach it with fear? Am I afraid to love again because somebody might hurt me? Do I close my heart, or do I open my heart? Because if you don't, then you can never experience the full experience of life. That was an awkward sentence, but I mean, I was an English teacher, so, but that, you'll forgive my English putting experience twice in there, but you get the idea. It changes everything, and it changes your energy so that you become more positive, which means you attract more positive. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous, but it's true.
So
I
true.
am.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's absolutely true that positive can attract positive. And that's why I keep a big bubble around my network with kind, positive people, because I know we were talking about energy. I know the power of that. So I've always wanted to ask you a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Right. So for the people out there, let me ask this for my network who are wanting to have a radio show. What are some steps that, because you're so accomplished and so successful, what are some steps that you could pass on to them that they want to do this, but they don't even know where to begin?
Well, a lot of people are doing podcasts now where they just do their own thing, so anybody can access, I think it's even free, the software to do your own podcast. I'm not comfortable managing the technical end. That's just not a gift of mine. And so for me, I needed and wanted a network that was going to have an engineer who was going to help me. Um, if it's something that you want to do, that you're actively seeking, then I suggest you find some shows that you like. Pay attention to how they do it. Do they have a network? Do you like that network? Do you want to do it on your own? You have to ask yourself some questions about how you want to present in the world and who can you connect with that will help you do that. Because you want it's your brand, and so you want somebody who's going to represent you well and who you feel good with. If you want to partner with someone, if you're comfortable doing the technical end yourself and the advertising and everything else, then so many people are just doing it themselves. um, it, Social media is a great way to get the word out there. The shows that you do on LinkedIn is one platform. People use Zoom on Facebook. They do that a lot. So it depends on what you want. It's like publishing a book. You can self-publish. You can find a legitimate publisher. You
Find
can
an editor. Absolutely.
Exactly. So it's what do you want? How much money do you have to spend on it? Can you get your own sponsors? Is money an issue? Um, what is your message? What is it that you want to get out there, and how do you want to do it? So,
I'm sorry, but let's talk about the message.
okay,
You and I are big on that.
right.
I always tell my network to be conscious of the words that they're putting out into the world. Can you explain, please, how important that is, the words that we put out into this world and the impact that it can have on another human being? Because it's very shocking to me. I see stuff every single day, and I'm like, people can do better. They can do better.
Right. And that was one of my big messages in my show, was being positive in word, thought, and deed. What comes to mind is that rhyme that we used to sing, my generation sang as little kids: sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Well, it's not true.
No, it's
And
not. It's a terrible expression. I've never understood that. It's a horrible.
well, it allows for bullying. It opens the door for people to say anything that they want, for it to be okay. And maybe, 70 years ago, that was okay. We didn't understand the impact of words. But in fact, the research on abuse and domestic violence and the various forms and trauma indicates that, not only indicates, it proves that the worst form of abuse is not sexual, is not physical, it's emotional abuse. It's words that get into our thoughts, get into our emotions, and it changes us. It defines us.